How much fuel do I get from you? Hello, I'm HG Tudor. I have created this video because it's a common question that I get asked. HG, how much fuel do you get from us, your viewers? HG, do you get a lot of fuel from doing this? There are, of course, other individuals that say, well, the reason he's doing this is purely for the fuel. That's why he creates all of these videos. It therefore behooves me to offer the explanation to you so that you understand more about me, the Ultra, but also about narcissism more generally to help you improve your understanding so that you don't engage in the making of schoolboy or schoolgirl errors. First of all, what is fuel? Well, there are others who use that awful phrase, narcissistic supply, which is utterly meaningless. If someone says, oh, it's narcissistic supply, you scratch your head and go, what's that? Whereas you know what fuel is. Fuel powers you. You put fuel in your car so you can drive it. You eat, which fuels you with energy. The electricity, in effect, fuels your house so that your appliances function, so that your laptop is on, so your television set can be watched, so that your home is warmed. Fuel is used to power things. And fuel powers the narcissist. Fuel is the emotional response occasioned by words and actions coming from a person within the narcissist fuel matrix that we have generated. So, for example, if I smile at you and you say to me, oh, HG, you've got such an engaging smile, I have provoked that reaction in you and your response has given me positive fuel. You have spoken favourably to me. If I punch somebody in the face and they start cursing me, that's negative fuel, occasioned by my physical violence towards them. If I explain to somebody that they will not be promoted and they start to cry, that's negative fuel, occasioned by my withdrawal or withholding of the promotion that they want. There are many, many things that you do with reference to a narcissist that provides fuel. The oohs and the ahs when you're having sex with a narcissist, crying when the narcissist has hurt you, shouting at the narcissist when the narcissist has frustrated you, buying a birthday gift, making a meal, making a cup of tea for the narcissist. All of those things provide fuel. Gestures, actions, words, expressions, and so forth. You will do no better than to gain an understanding about fuel by accessing my excellent book, Fuel, which goes into detail in terms of explaining what fuel is, what fuel does, and the various categories of fuel and the categories of appliances that's provided to the narcissist. That publication can be obtained from Amazon and can also be found in the Knowledge Vault. I would encourage you to obtain that and read it. It is one of the pillar publications of my work. But what about the question of how much fuel do I get from you, my viewers? Well, to understand that, you need to understand, first of all, the fuel hierarchy, because not all appliances are equal with regard to their potency. With regard to the provision of fuel, appliances are divided between primary sources, of which a narcissist, if they have one, only ever has one, secondary sources, and tertiary sources. Then we have the amount of fuel. The amount of fuel provided varies, dependent on the level of interaction. the narcissist may receive thought fuel by considering their expected reaction to doing something. So, for example, if a narcissist sends a nasty text to an appliance but receives no response, they may take some thought fuel thinking, they've not replied because I've upset them. That thought fuel is ephemeral, doesn't last for long, and if then no response comes, following the dissipation of that thought fuel, the narcissist will be wounded. More usually, fuel is provided in a proximate fashion, namely through your text messages, your telephone calls, and of course in person. The amount of fuel varies. The smallest amount of fuel is when it's provided in writing, and the largest amount of fuel is provided when you're proximate to the narcissist. So, for example, think about it as strands of fuel coming towards the narcissist. When you write an email, all there is the words that are being used, so one strand. If you have a telephone call with the narcissist, it's the words and their tone, two strands. If you are physically proximate to the narcissist, then there are the words that you're using, the tone of those words, the look in your eyes, your facial expression, your body language. 5 strands coming towards the narcissist, therefore a larger sandwich, if you will, much more fuel. And of course, dependent upon the nature of the interaction, various levels in between. Quite simply, the largest amount of fuel is provided where you're physically proximate to us and you're talking to us and gesturing, etc., and the smallest amount of fuel is provided in writing, and variations in between. Finally, we have fuel frequency. If you send one text message to me, that's a one-off hit of fuel. If you send me 20 text messages, that's 20 injections of fuel. If I'm having sex with you, that several-hour period that you're having sex with me, then all of your responses would provide me with a sustained amount of fuel over that 1, 2, 3 hour period, depending on how long it lasts. So there are 3 aspects to the fuel. The potency, which depends upon the appliance's position within the fuel matrix, the amount, which depends on the method of delivery, and the frequency, which speaks for itself. So, what about all of you that are watching this video? How much fuel do I get from you? Well, the vast majority of you are tertiary sources. I don't know you. Indeed, you write under names that aren't your real names. I don't see necessarily a picture of you. For some of you I do, but I don't know who you are, and therefore your potency is weak. It's the lowest potency. There are, of course, some commentators who I know, who might be clients of mine through consultation, and that I know more about and have spoken to many times. They're likely to be non-intimate secondary sources, which means the potency of their fuel is improved. It's moderate compared to weak. But for the vast majority of you, the fuel that you provide is of low potency because you're tertiary sources. What about the amount? Well, you ought to have already worked this out and realised that your written comments only provide me with a small amount of fuel. Therefore, it isn't a large dollop at all. And then what about frequency? Well, of course, as I sit and read through the comments, and let us say if I was to read through them for half an hour, I would have half an hour's worth of fuel because of all the various comments that are directed at me. Bear in mind, sometimes the comments might be writing about, say, Will Smith and not about me. But the fact is, you're writing because I have generated a video which has provoked you to comment, and therefore I will still garner that fuel. In conclusion, therefore, the amount of fuel that I get from you is of low potency, of the smallest amount, and the frequency depends upon how long I read for. You should work out, of course, from that the fuel that's provided through my YouTube channel is insufficient to sustain me on a daily basis. Instead, my fuel needs are met through my private life. As a narcissistic psychopath, being a hybrid of narcissist and psychopath, my fuel needs are not as great as those of a pure narcissist. Nevertheless, I still need it, and the fuel generated from a YouTube channel is not sufficient of itself. Accordingly, those that state, oh, he's only doing this for the fuel, are wrong, because it isn't enough. My fuel needs are met privately with the people that I actually physically interact with. Of course, I draw fuel from this. I will never deny that and never have done so. I have been consistent in my explanation that I do draw fuel from my interactions on the YouTube channel, from the comments, from, of course, emails that people send me, and comments on my blog also. But it isn't the reason that I do this. The reason that I do this is linked to the residual benefits of the creation of the legacy, where I've explained in a separate video why am I doing this, which if you haven't listened to, I'd encourage you to do so to improve your knowledge. Accordingly, this will give you a better understanding of aspects of fuel, but, as I've explained, the best place that you can go to achieve that is by reading my book Fuel, and there are other videos about fuel. It's important to know that fuel is crucial to the narcissist. It's a glue that holds us together, in effect, powers us, sustains us, and you as an appliance are a provider of that fuel. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.